Well, welcome to everybody. This is a public meeting of the Dispute Resolution Committee. The only purpose today is to rehear or hear additional information from Chester County. They had first presented at our August the 6th meeting, and we specifically agreed at that time that our council would work with Chester County and seek additional information. So would you take the roll first, please, Bree?
Yes. Tamar Alexander.
Good afternoon, everyone present.
Commissioner Kevin Boozle.
Present, thank you.
Stuart Fisk.
Present.
Shay Madden.
Well,
Sorry,
Commissioner Robert Postal.
Here.
Senator Christine Tartaglione.
here.
Chair Tom Van Kirk. Here. And could you also ascertain who's on from Chester County, Bree?
C. Kelsey.
Hi, members of the trust. Yes, Kelsey Gavazda, Chair, Assistant Solicitor for Chester County. I'm here today. District Attorney Deborah Sorobi had another obligation at the same time, so just me here with you all today.
Okay, well, welcome, Kelsey. Anybody
Thank
else
you.
from Chester?
I believe some of our members from Drug and Alcohol, I think, are on here.
Yes, so Jamie Johnson, Director for the Department of Drug and Alcohol Services, and I'm here to support Kelsey, as well as Rachel Kramer is also here, Opioid Settlement Coordinator.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
This is a meeting of the Pennsylvania Opioid Trust and the Dispute Resolution Committee, and it's been duly advertised as a public meeting in accordance with the Sunshine Act and is open to members of the public as observers. Participation in this particular meeting is limited to the Chester County District Attorney as a beneficiary under the trust order and its designated representatives, trustees on the DRC, of course, and those trustees that have been invited in advance to take part. The meeting is being recorded, and minutes from this meeting will be available on the trust website once they're approved by the DRC. And I would like to note that there was an executive committee or an executive session of the DRC held immediately prior to this public meeting for purposes of receiving legal advice and legal updates. Those are all of my preliminary announcements. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the August 6, 2025 DRC meeting. Could I have a motion for the approval of those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
So moved, Kevin Boozle.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's approved. That will move us on to the main purpose of the meeting, which, as I said, is to give Chester County an opportunity to expand upon the presentation that they made in a prior meeting, as well as additional information that they submitted to us. Just as a little bit of a footnote, so Chester knows exactly what we're trying to address here. We don't believe that Exhibit E to the National Opioid Settlements authorizes the expenditure of opioid settlement funds on law enforcement activities, such as the prosecution of individuals suffering from opioid use disorder and co-occurring substance use disorder. So given that, and by the way, many states agree with us on that, we have looked at where opioid settlement funds are being spent on positions that may include any kind of a level of prosecutorial discretion. And we have viewed that as being problematic and in fact denied those expenditures, that it does not fit in within Exhibit E. And prosecutorial discretion in that context includes the decision-making in terms of whether somebody goes to treatment court versus being tried for crimes of which they are accused. And those were the concerns that were expressed by the DRC in the meeting of August the 6th. Following that public meeting, the DA's office was permitted to submit supplemental information. Those supplemental materials were received and have been reviewed by members of the DRC. The materials do include a slightly revised job title as being what is being funded is diversion court district attorney and an expanded job description. With regard to the job description, our review of it indicates that the position is one where the person would in fact be involved in decision-making regarding whether a criminal defendant goes to drug court or to trial. So what we would like to do is to give Chester County the time to offer anything they would like to contradict what that understanding was in the August 6th meeting, what our continued understanding is after receiving the materials. And the floor is open, Kelsey, to you and your team to make any presentation you would like. We are going to try to limit this to 15 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Van Kirk. And I'll be pretty brief because I think we've flooded you with presentations and paperwork at this point. I would direct the trust to the supplemental items that we submitted, that we understand the concerns regarding not funding law enforcement. And of course, if this was a deputy or a DA whose job is to prosecute and take people to trial or, punishment, of course, that would not be appropriate. But this is position, as we've said before, probably many times, this position is about treatment. And for any pretrial disposition program where somebody is going to have their charges expunged kind of treatment program, it is only the DA that can, the law requires the DA's office to be the one making that decision. And we can't get around what's been placed in the law. Also, as we've put in many of our submissions, the national best practice standards show that the importance of a DA to these programs. So we understand the concern of making sure that this isn't, really law enforcement in disguise. This is about treatment. Yes, the person is a district attorney, but that's because it's required that a district attorney be the one making these decisions. But other than that, we would rest upon all our first presentation, the submissions we have made.
Right.
I'd very much like to thank the trust for your time, though, and the trust attorneys for the time working and speaking. We are grateful for that.
Kelsey, in that regard, could I ask a question that is open to either you or Jamie or Rachel to answer? But in your submission and in describing the position of diversion court assistant district attorney, you talk in terms of it being consistent with national best practice guidelines from All Rise, which require a member of the team include a prosecutor. First, I'd like to know what that organization is. I probably should know, but I do not know what All Rise is. And although it is a practice guideline, is there anything else that requires that the member of such a team would include a prosecutor, as opposed to, say, a social worker?
Correct. And All Rise, and I believe Judge Wheatcraft maybe had mentioned it too when she was on in our original, and I'll defer to Jamie and Rachel for some of this because they're obviously the experts, but All Rise is the national organization that provides the training, membership, advocacy for improving justice system responses to substance and mental health disorders. And I don't have them in front of me, but in their national, they talk about like who should be included in these treatment programs, like who's important to be there. Obviously, members of drug and alcohol, probation, and they talk about in their standards, a member of the district attorney's office should be, and actually treatment courts with an active district attorney who's not just maybe signing papers and are more active, have shown to have more successful participants. So that's what we were referencing with All Rise, but it is just the national organization. And Jamie or Rachel, I don't know if you want to add on to anything I may be missing.
No, I think you got it, Kelsey. It is the organization that identifies best practices nationally for all treatment courts, to include all the diversionary courts, and they do set the standards and give best practices as well as key elements of a treatment court to your point of who should be on the treatment court is the team.
Thank you, but it isn't a legal mandate from them. It is merely guidelines from an organization, a highly respected organization that offers guidance as to how all of these all of these courts ought to operate. But it isn't a legal mandate as such. It is just part of the guideline that they suggest. Is that correct?
Correct. And I should clarify too that I think there's a distinction between All Rise, which sets best practice standards, they're not, versus the legal part, which is for any pretrial disposition programs where persons may get their charges expunged legally. As we put in the letter, a DA has to be the one to make that decision because it's only a DA is the only one that can null pros or get rid of a case. As opposed to, as we put in our letter, if it's a post-conviction track type of program, the judge could put the person on over the objection of the DA.
Great. Thank you. Okay, I don't mean to dominate this conversation. Do other members of the committee have questions?
I have a question. This is Rob Postal, Mifflin County, and it relates to the letter that we have. I just want to confirm, and just let me read from it. The DC ADA is part of a multidisciplinary treatment team. This is the point that I want confirmed and talk about a little bit, and receives targeted training and education on treatment and supervision interventions for individuals impacted and so forth. Is that similar, or is it what some of our other positions that we have funded get? Is it that training? And I can't recall, maybe maybe Shay or Stewart knows. There's a certificate or there's a designation that you get. And I can't remember, but my question is it that? Or is it I don't know. It just says receive targeted training and education on treatment. I don't know what that means. So maybe you could flesh that out for me a little bit.
Yeah, and Jamie, if you want to jump in, because I know that the person that sits in this goes to I believe the national and gets their training. But Jamie, do you want to jump in on this one? If you know.
Yeah, let me find the unmute. So yeah, they actually get training in multiple disciplines to include ethics, substance use disorder, mental health, opiate use disorder, and they do have to attend so many trainings a year. So I believe Chester County, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the approved courts. There is a certification with the courts, and part of that certification is all the members of the team do need to attend certain trainings to maintain that certification.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie, I had a question. On the drug court team, it says Department of Drug and Alcohol Services. That's you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What is the role of the Department of Drug and Alcohol Services? Is there a specific advocate for the client from the SCA that's on that team, or how do they interface with that team?
Absolutely. I would say we are the recovery cheerleaders, but we not only are we part of the team, but we also make sure our providers are participating appropriately, that there's not any barriers or any issues with anybody getting an assessment. The clients are assessed and they're placed in the appropriate level of care for the appropriate length of stay. We have case managers involved. On the authorization side, we have a working relationship with our MCO, which is CCBH. So yeah, we absolutely are making sure that our providers are aligning with the key concepts and they're participating and they're entering their information into the appropriate, what we call pages. They attend the treatment court in the conference annually, which is held up at Penn State. So we are always making sure that our providers are staying on top of best practices, not only with All Rise and in treatment court, but with the clients and the clients that we serve. And that they're also working with family members. So we're not just working with the clients. Oftentimes we're working with family members as well, making sure they're getting their services and their needs met. So it's pretty comprehensive. So our role really is to liaise between the courts and our providers, and we are the voice of substance use expertise on the team.
That's what I would expect, and thanks. I
Yes.
appreciate the clarification. It's good that you're there, for sure. One more quick question. This position of the assistant district attorney that you're requesting funding for, does that person have any role in any other adjudication or legal proceedings if a person is discharged from the treatment court?
No,
I'll
if
defer
somebody,
to Kelsey on that.
yeah, sorry. No, if somebody was discharged from a treatment program, their case would go on a regular trial list with another prosecutor, because obviously the DA2 involved in treatment court has access to a lot of confidential treatment focused information. So no, they would never touch that person's case should they be discharged.
They wouldn't be called in to testify or anything to the.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that established in any written policy you all have?
I don't believe that's established in any written policy. I don't believe so.
I
Okay.
don't have anything else.
Okay, other questions? Okay, well, the members of the committee, would you, with the presentation is finished, you've had the opportunity to ask questions. I believe that we should move forward. Is there any discussion among the committee as to whether or not this is a suitable expenditure for opioid funds?
If I may, Chairman, I do have one question I was kind of focusing in on is who's currently paying for this position that the DA is holding? Who's currently funding that?
Kelsey, could you answer that?
Yes, so for the period that we're here in question for, which I believe was the last 6 months of 2024, the funding was 50% of her salary was being funded, or I'm sorry, 100%. That was basically 50% of the year was being funded with opioid settlement funds. This year it was changed a little, but it is 100% for the time period in question that this appeal relates to, opioid settlement funds.
Well, and
And
if I can add to that, Kelsey, we actually expanded this position. So there was a time that we didn't really need a full-time person to review the applications, because we are expanding our treatment courts and we're trying to increase the number of admissions to recovery court, drug court, mental health court, and veterans court. We really needed a full-time dedicated person. So in the past, it may have been more of a part-time position, but currently it is a full-time position. So it's definitely been an expansion for our treatment courts.
And prior to 2022, when the opioid funds started going out to the counties and to the litigating subdivisions, was this position in place, albeit perhaps part-time? And if so, how was it being funded?
It used to, oh, go ahead, Jamie.
No, go ahead, Kelsey, you go.
I was going to say, at one time we had grant funding at one point come in that funded this position, but at that time, until that time, since it was county funded, the person also had to have a trial list, which I think we discussed in our prior presentation, which caused delays because the person also had a trial list, and I think that was in our first materials.
Thank you. Other questions?
Just to clarify, one last one is that this person has no longer is doing any prosecutory process, no trial list, you're telling me.
That's correct. Yes, this person is involved in the treatment courts, the ARD courts. They're the only offer they make is to treatment.
Letty, they're
Thank you.
very involved in Letty. Our
And
Letty.
Letty, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know we're over time. Is there any, could you give me any kind of like clarity on how decision is made to remove someone from drug court? Are there clear criteria for that? Is it a team-based position? I mean, who makes that recommendation to the judge?
Do you want me to go, Kelsey?
Yeah, Go ahead, Jamie.
So we actually do have a treatment court manual. So a lot of the things are spelled out in the manual, but everything is a team decision. So clients are never removed. Because it's a voluntary program, clients are normally willing to participate in the program, and they also have to identify with having some type of either opiate use disorder or substance use disorder and/or mental health. So any decision for a client not to participate in treatment is in conjunction with the team. So the treating provider, as well as the client, and the recommendations are made to the judge. Ultimately, the judge has the final say, but the judge is very open to all the team's feedback. And we
Okay,
never take a removal lightly.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? Even though we're over time, this is important. So if people do have additional questions, please ask them. Okay. Hearing none, I will ask for a resolution. Kelsey and Jamie and Rachel, I want you to know that the way this resolution is worded is to call for the vote. And it is the same resolution we have used with every dispute that has come before the committee. So it's not being specially tailored or it doesn't aim to direct the answer one way or the other, okay? And the other thing I would add, and this is just a personal statement, I believe, and I think the trust believes, drug courts are great. What you are doing with the drug court, the presentation you made before, getting the judge actively involved, drug courts are good and are something that can be supported by opioid funds. The only and the sole question here is whether or not this particular position is one that falls within the category of broad support for the drug court, or is it a matter of prosecutorial discretion, which we have ruled on a number of times. So with that, I'd like to ask for the following resolution. Resolved that the Pennsylvania Opioid Trust hereby affirms the decision of the Board of Trustees that Chester County District Attorney Program Number 1 is not compliant with Exhibit E. A yes vote would maintain the current denial by the trust, whereas a no vote would reverse the decision by the trust that the program is not compliant with Exhibit E. Could I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Tumar.
Thank you, Tamar. Any further discussion on the resolution? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye or yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
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 And those that would vote no.
No.
Anybody else? And I do not have a vote unless there's a tie. Okay, having that, the yeses prevail, and the current denial by the trust will remain in place. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.